Hearing the blood servant's words, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They had just been talking about the faceless men's cabin, and now the information was being delivered, whether or not there was definite information. It proved that they were working hard to investigate this matter. Bring it over. The blood servant presented the letter. The Red Duke took it in his hand and carefully examined it. Slowly, the Red Duke's expression became more and more gloomy, and his brow furrowed. Everyone observed the Red Duke's expression, knowing that the information in the letter was probably not good news. After the Red Duke finished reading the letter, he casually placed it on a nearby side table. It says Giovanni is dead. What? How is that possible? Everyone was a little incredulous. Once a bloodkin grows bat wings, they possess strong mobility. Unless they court death by causing trouble in places with flying units, it is difficult for ordinary human cities to hold on to Giovanni. Moreover, with the Hamilton family as backing, the most likely outcome would be negotiation, not direct killing. The information says that someone saw an undead creature with bat wings, with characteristics extremely similar to Giovanni. It is very likely that Giovanni is dead and has been transformed into an undead, the Red Duke continued. Then, does that mean Otis did it? A bloodkin spoke. Otis, the King of Bones, is the top undead monarch in this area. Only he has the ability to transform units and the courage to provoke the Hamilton family. No, it's not Otis. The Red Duke shook his head slightly. The information gives two locations, north of Pearl City and the Mannheim Market of the Orcs. I remember that young Master Giovanni does indeed have a manor north of Pearl City, a bloodkin said softly. Another bloodkin said, Duke, I will arrange for thin-blooded ones to investigate these two places immediately, and I will definitely find out young Master Giovanni's whereabouts. No, the orcs are launching a war, so don't arrange for people to enter there for now. Who is the current city lord of Pearl City? The Red Duke said unhurriedly, without showing any change due to Giovanni's death. Even though the Red Duke didn't take those scattered orcs seriously, he didn't want to provoke those simple-minded guys. Dealing with these guys who only know how to fight and kill all day long is very troublesome. Negotiation there is not as simple as fighting a battle first. Furthermore, the thin-blooded ones are bloodkin scouts cultivated from humans, who can be exposed to the sun.it is easier to integrate into human society, rather than the orcs. Duke, his name is Cyril, a city lord who is very mediocre in both strength and management. The Red Duke thought for a while, but he didn't have any impression of this person in his mind. The Radiant Moon Highlands are managed by the bloodkin, and the affiliated human villages need to pay enough blood tax every month. This has allowed the bloodkin to stop hunting in human cities in recent decades, in exchange for a period of stability. In addition, the Red Duke had been sleeping for a long time before, so naturally he wouldn't know if the human city had changed hands. Mediocre is a good thing for us. Arrange for thin-blooded ones to go to Pearl City to investigate this matter. I want enough information, the Red Duke said in a deep voice. Yes, Duke, I will do it immediately, a bloodkin said. The Red Duke nodded. Whether it was searching for clues to Giovanni's disappearance or investigating a suddenly appearing undead force near the territory, it was worth arranging scouts for a detailed investigation that if there really was an undead force growing rapidly, and without any background, he would immediately send troops to destroy this undead force, retrieve the bloodkin book, and pacify the undead's territory. Go to the blood kiln and select 2 young humans to send to my room. The Red Duke slowly got up and ordered softly. Yes, Duke. The blood servant nodded and went to the blood kiln to select tonight's supper for the Duke. The next day, early morning, Fang Hao opened his eyes and stretched a big lazy waist. Beside him, Error leaned against Fang Hao's arms like a kitten, looking at him with a smile. Good morning. Error turned over and sat directly on Fang Hao, her voice charming. Master is being lazy. It's already this hour, and you're still not getting up. Smooth skin, charming voice. Stimulating Fang Hao's senses that it was so stimulating early in the morning. It was really unbearable. Just then, the sound transmission conch on the bedside table suddenly sent a reminder. Proving that information had been recorded, Fang Hao frowned. It was the sound transmission conch left for Fireblade and Copperbolt. He gently patted Error, signaling her not to make trouble, turned over, and put the conch to his ear to listen. Immediately afterwards, Copper Bull's deep voice came from the conch. Master, we have already occupied the Skullcrusher tribe, under the persuasion of the priest. The entire Cold Wind Mountains are willing to submit. Kinji has been arranged to wait for you in the city where Lord Zhang Bin is stationed. So fast. According to normal marching, it would take at least 3 days. They had already occupied the Skullcrusher tribe in 2 days. On second thought, he quickly understood the undead are different from the orcs. Even if the orcs have good physical strength, they still need to set up camp. Under the circumstances of marching in a hurry during the day, it still takes more than 3 days, but the undead don't need to. They are rushing and fighting day and night. In addition, with pincers, Kinji leading the way, it must be faster than normal marching along the way. The only one who needs to rest is Copper Bull, but it seems that Copper Bull didn't rest much either, and followed the army all the way directly to the Skullcrusher tribe. Master has something to do. Error had already put on her clothes and asked curiously, Well, I'm going out soon. Prepare breakfast, something simple will do. Fang Hao also turned over and got out of bed. Okay. Error went downstairs to prepare breakfast, and Fang Hao also began to wash up and simply do his morning exercises. After running a lap, Error's breakfast was also ready. After eating breakfast, Fang Hao dragged in Jia, who was still a little sleepy, onto the bone dragon, taking the other 2 bone dragons loaded with skeleton ogres. He directly soared into the sky. He picked up pincers, Kinji in the city where Zhang Bin was stationed, and under his guidance, flew towards the Cold Wind Mountains, the location of the Skullcrusher tribe. Entering the Cold Wind Mountains, the temperature dropped sharply. Clouds and mist were swirling in the air. High mountains were overlapping, and the mountain paths were winding and twisting. Occasionally, a slightly dense forest would appear, surrounded by some scattered villages. The resources here are indeed barren compared to the outside. Under Kenji's command, the bone dragon came to the sky above the Skullcrusher tribe. A dense army of undead surrounded the tribe in the middle. The bone dragon landed, and Fireblade and Copper Bull came forward to greet him. Master, well, how is the situation here? Fang Hao turned over and got off the bone dragon and asked. After the army came here, the other party's priest didn't put up too much resistance and persuaded the remaining scattered tribes in the Cold Wind Mountains to agree to submit, Fireblade said while walking. Then where are they? All the clan leaders and chiefs are in the hall, just waiting for you to come. Okay, let's go in and take a look. Pushing open the door and entering the chieftain's hall, the scene still startled Fang Hao. Inside the entire hall stood the chieftains and tribal leaders from various tribes, totaling over 500 people, significantly more than the 212 tribes Kinji had mentioned. Even if each tribe sent 2 leaders, there shouldn't be this many people, guarded by Fireblade and others. Fang Hao walked towards the front. Why are there so many people? Fang Hao asked in a low voice without stopping. Fireblade replied, The news of Shattered Skull's death spread last night, and this morning, this many tribes split off. There was no other way but to let them all in. The traditions of the tribes really haven't changed at all. Shattered Skull had summoned away the warriors from each village, so it could be said that none of the tribes had much fighting power. Even so, this many villages had split off overnight. If Fang Hao truly ordered a complete massacre of the Cold Wind Mountain range, these people causing internal strife would find it very difficult to resist Fang Hao's advance. Understood. Fang Hao walked up the steps and had just taken his seat in the great chieftain's position. Below, an elder at the front, wearing a cloak and leaning on a staff, was the first to shout, Greetings, great chieftain. The other disorganized orc chieftains were slightly stunned, looking at the young human sitting on the platform, and then followed suit, kneeling and shouting, Greetings, great chieftain. Fang Hao glanced at the orc elder at the front. Shaman, Clay, Purple Tier 3 hero. It seemed he was the priest Kinji had mentioned, and surprisingly, he was a Tier 3 hero. The prefix for this priest was Shaman, which reminded him of Nielsen's prefix, Lich. This kind of prefix was different from others, leaning more towards their inherent role or profession. It seemed more like an inherited title or a job title. All right, everyone rise, Fang Hao said. When Shaman Clay stood up, all the orcs followed suit. Shamans often held a very high status in a region, similar to a spiritual leader in modern terms. Even if they weren't leaders or chieftains, they possessed a high position. I believe you all know about Shattered Skull's matter. For the Coldwind Mountain Range, this is both a bad thing and a good thing, Fang Hao said. The orcs below remained silent, only lowering their heads, while some restlessly glanced left and right at their companions. Fang Hao continued. The bad thing is that the rules of the Coldwind Mountain Range will be broken and new rules will be established. The good thing is that the tyrant Shattered Skull is dead. From now on, you won't be exploited anymore, nor will you have to send the women from your tribes every month. Asterisk whoosh. Asterisk this sentence caused quite a stir. A large part of the conflict between the tribes in the Coldwind Mountain Range stemmed from the tribute demanded by Sar. If they didn't have enough but couldn't avoid paying, they could only rob neighboring tribes. As long as they didn't rob the Shattered Skull tribe, Sar would let the rest go. The other thing was women. All the good-looking orc women were sent to Sar, and no one wasn't envious or jealous. Silence. Listen to the great chieftain. The shaman struck his staff forcefully, letting out a reprimand. The entire hall instantly fell silent, waiting for Fang Hao's subsequent words. All right, the new rules for the Coldwind Mountain Range are still being formulated. Before the regulations are truly implemented, I will first lay down a few rules. Anyone who dares to break them will find that their race has no reason to exist anymore. Great chieftain, please speak, the shaman said. First, no one is allowed to engage in internal conflict through looting, provocation, and other means. Anyone found doing so will be killed without exception. Second, your tribes are too scattered. All the tribes will be consolidated by Shaman Clay, reducing the number of tribes to 100. Third, when the time comes, I will arrange some work for you to complete. Don't blame me for being impolite if anyone is found to be shirking their duties. Great chieftain, are these human laws? The shaman asked at this point. After all, Fang Hao was human, and in their view, these rules seemed more like human ones. No, they are the laws of the undead. You just need to remember, the era of plundering each other and coveting others' wealth is over. Now, all livelihoods must be earned through your own efforts, Fang Hao said sternly. Yes, we obey the great chieftain's command. All right, Clay, help them consolidate the tribes and reduce the number of tribes to within 100. Come, see me when you're finished. Fang Hao looked at the shaman. The shaman nodded and took all the tribal leaders to one side of the hall to begin consolidating the tribes. The orcs retreated to one side. Fang Hao also had time to check his lord's book. After entering and sitting in the great chieftain's position, he had already received a system prompt. Shattered Skull Tribe has become your subordinate city. You can rename the city here and control all resources of the tribe and its subordinate villages. Fang Hao thought about it and felt that calling it Shattered Skull Tribe didn't sound very good. He remembered a city called Coldwind City in some game, which seemed quite fitting for this city. So he wrote Coldwind City in the unnamed section, naming successful Coldwind City level. Level 7 original city attributes. Mineral extraction plus 30%. Gold coin tax plus 10%. Orc reproduction plus 10%. Description: a city with attributes can bring various different beneficial effects, accelerating the construction and development of the city. So it also has bonus attributes, no wonder. Moreover, the city's level isn't low either. Reaching level 7. Unlocked blueprints. Hero Altar Construction Blueprint. Smelting Furnace Construction Blueprint. Forge Bellows Manufacturing Blueprint. Beast Head Heavy Shield Manufacturing Blueprint. He had obtained quite a few blueprints. Hero Altar, orange. Category: Special Building Ability, Resurrection. Resurrection, Trace of Life 1. Mithril 20, Faction Material 20. Warcoin 2000. Hero units converted, crafted, summoned, etc. cannot be resurrected. Resurrection can resurrect hero units of this faction. Soul Imprisonment. Soul destruction will prevent resurrection. Description: here, you can resurrect your brave subordinates. Of course, there are always some ways in this world to imprison and shatter your soul. Yes, be careful of those guys who mess with the dead. Construction requirements: hardwood 5,500, stone bricks 5,000, iron 2,200, trace of prayer 20, trace of divinity 10, perfect essence 30. With this building, he could resurrect heroes in the future. But Fang Hao also knew that this altar could only perform resurrection when a hero died normally. For example, none of the orc heroes killed recently had been successfully resurrected under Nielsen's control. Since Nielsen possessed this ability to prevent resurrection, the top powers of other factions definitely had similar abilities. Therefore, strength was the most fundamental solution to reduce casualties. Not resurrection, he continued to check the second building blueprint. Smelting furnace category, building products, cast iron blocks, white steel ingots, fine iron. Description: processed metals can be obtained through heating, used as materials for manufacturing and alchemy. Seeing the information for the smelting furnace, Fang Hao's heart instantly filled with joy that he could now produce white steel ingots. And his white steel equipment blueprints could be mass-produced and equipped. The overall attributes of the army would also receive a significant boost. Forging bellows, green hardwood 5, thick leather 5, metal parts 4. Description: a simple device for generating wind. Air is compressed into the smelting furnace for forging and iron refining. He had seen bellows before on television. They were used to blow air, making the furnace fire burn hotter. They were auxiliary equipment for the smelting furnace. There was only one blueprint left: the beast head heavy shield, blue hardwood 1, cast iron block 5, white steel plate 2, white steel ingot 2. Description: a heavy shield designed for orc heavy infantry. It offers outstanding defense, but also adds to the burden of the unit. Fang Hao had seen the finished product of this beast head heavy shield. He had seen it among the spoils of war after a battle. It was a round shield carved with the image of a large beast head. It did possess a certain imposing presence. Materials were abundant now, so they could be produced and equipped to the infantry. After looking at the blueprints, Fang Hao continued to examine the warehouse of the Skullcrusher tribe. What he saw made him jump. There was a large amount of ore in the warehouse. The stone reserves were 2 million, and iron ore reserves reached over 200,000. There were also copper ore, silver ore, and even large reserves of saltpeter and sulfur. This further confirmed Fang Hao's initial thought. The Cold Wind Mountain Range possessed very rich mineral resources, which also solved his territories or needs. At this moment, Shaman Klai walked over. Great Chieftain, I have made the arrangements. The number of tribes will be reduced to 100, but the merging and relocation of tribes will take a few days. Fang Hao nodded and said, you handle this matter. You and everyone else can just call me Lord. No need to call me Great Chieftain. The title of Great Chieftain was likely an honorific within the tribe, although it sounded quite imposing. The heroes in his territory were gradually increasing, and different titles for each person would be confusing. It was better to unify the title to Lord, which also fit the identity granted by the Lord's book. All right, Lord. Klai immediately changed his address. Fang Hao motioned for Klai to sit down and asked with some curiosity, I killed Saul. Don't the people here hate me? His peripheral vision scanned the orcs not far away in the hall. When they knew Fang Hao wouldn't make things difficult for them, the tension on their faces gradually disappeared, and they were gathered together chatting, waiting for the tasks that would be assigned to them later. Lord, that's how it is in the Cold Wind Mountain Range. If any one of them surpassed Saul, they would also kill him and take this position. Klai slightly raised his head and looked at Fang Hao. The only difference is that you are human. The rule here was that strength was paramount. If someone surpassed Saul, they could take the position of Great Chieftain and establish new rules. The only difference was that Fang Hao was human, and the army he commanded was undead. This made the orcs, who were not very good at thinking, completely unable to comprehend. I plan to let you manage this place. How do you feel about that? Fang Hao asked. Lord, with my current energy, it's difficult to manage such a large group. Klai replied with a sigh. Even though Klai was a hero, his body had entered a stage of decline. Even if he had the idea, he felt somewhat powerless. I will arrange for someone to come and take charge. At that time, you will still be the shaman here and assist. Fang Hao thought for a moment and said, Klai was a purple hero. After all, as the spiritual leader of the orc race, a shaman could solve many problems. I am willing to serve you. Lord. Klai stood up and bowed slightly. Fang Hao opened the Lord's book, took out a purple hero contract, and handed it to Klai that he had purchased the hero contract at the Merchant Alliance shop when he came. sign it, even though Cly had shown sufficient sincerity and helped him persuade the chieftains of the large and small tribes in the Cold Wind Mountain range. But Fang Hao still needed him to sign this contract. People's hearts would change little by little with time, place, and events. Only a contract could consistently restrain them and prevent them from doing anything detrimental to himself. When the contract was handed to him, Cly didn't hesitate and directly pressed his handprint on it before Fang Hao arrived. Copper Ox had already spoken with him, and the matter of signing a contract was discussed. He was already mentally prepared, so there wasn't much hesitation. Light appeared from the contract and merged into Cly's body. The contract was completed. Shaman, Cly. Current loyalty to you is 60. Indeed, Cly's loyalty was only 60, even lower than Copper Ox, who was forced to join him at the time. Shaman, Cly, Purple Tier 3 Hero, Faction, Orc Template, Purple Racial Traits, Living Being, Altar Believer, Blood Raged, Legion Talent, Orc Venerable, Belief Totem. Skills, Magic Affinity, Electrocution, Weakness, Poisonous Mist, Serpent Ward. Innate Skills, Advanced Magic Mastery, Advanced Tactics Mastery. Altar Believer, Passive, operates the hero altar to resurrect hero units. No material consumption required, once every 7 days. Blood Rage, Passive. Upon entering combat, attack strength is increased by 5%. Orc Venerable, Passive. Orc areas where this unit is stationed are less prone to riots. Tax revenue plus 5%. Belief Totem, Active. All friendly units, orcs, gain a buff, morale plus 2%. Physical damage plus 3%. Magic Affinity, Passive. Permanently increases this unit's magic power. Electrocution, Active. Lightning erupts from the fingertips, dealing 130% spell damage. The lightning will chain, hitting up to 2 additional enemies. Weakness, Active. Can cause the target enemy to enter a weakened state, reducing all attributes. Poisonous Mist, Active. Summons a cloud of poison in the designated area, dealing continuous poison damage to the target. Serpent Ward, Active. Can summon 10 magic serpent wards to attack target enemy units. Description: Shamans are better at thinking than orcs. They think in the dark, guiding their tribe through difficulties. Although Cly possessed a few skills that looked decent, their effect in Legion battles was actually not very significant. The only ones Fang Hao felt were useful were Altar Believer and Orc Venerable. Point 1 was a free use of the hero altar once every 7 days, which could be used to resurrect fallen heroes. The other was to increase the stability of the orc tribes. It made riots less likely and could also increase tax revenue. He was an internal affairs type hero for the orc race. As long as Cly was in Cold Wind City, Fang Hao wouldn't need to worry about these orcs rioting. Cly, this place is connected to the Bloody Mountain Range, right? There should be a connecting path. Fang Hao looked at Cly again. The Cold Wind Mountain Range and the Bloody Mountain Range belonged to the same mountain range. But because the range was too long and covered different faction areas, they were named separately. Since they were one, there must be a place where they connected. He had to pay attention to this, whether it was for defending against trolls or for future counterattacks. Yes, Lord. Cly stood up and shouted down, "Bring the sandbox over." Several orc guards immediately took action, pushing a sandbox over 7 meters long and over 5 meters wide to the center of the hall. "Lord, please. Looking here will be more intuitive." Cly invited Fang Hao to go first. The several people walked down the steps and came before the giant sandbox. Detailed sandbox, Cold Wind Mountain Range. Cold Wind Mountain Range. Sandbox has been recorded. You can view the overall map of the Cold Wind Mountain Range on the Lord's Book. Map paged. As soon as he approached the sandbox, a system prompt suddenly appeared. Fang Hao immediately opened the Lord's Book and turned to the map page. As expected. On the map page, the entire Cold Wind Mountain Range area was fully lit up, with mountains, terrain, and winding paths all clearly displayed, exactly the same as the information on the sandbox. This instantly filled Fang Hao's heart with joy. Point 1 must know that maps require manpower to explore. In the beginning, when Fang Hao first transmigrated, he used the Divine Presence skill every day to lead troops to explore the map near the territory, and after returning, He would compare it with the map and re-explore the unlit areas. Now that the sandbox was included, this task was directly saved, and the map of the entire Cold Wind Mountain range was automatically unlocked, and it was very clear. "What's wrong, my lord?" Clay saw Fang Hao lost in thought and asked softly. Nothing. You continue telling me." Fang Hao closed the lord's book and his gaze returned to the sandbox. "Yes, my lord." The sandbox was huge. Clay picked up the staff in his hand and pointed from east to west along a road within the mountain's interior. "My lord, this road runs through the entire mountain range." Then, pointing to a spot in the middle, he continued. "The Cold Wind Mountain Range and the Bloody Mountain Range are bordered here, mutually exclusive." It was evident that the Bloody Mountain Range occupied more territory and had a better living environment. A large part of the reason for this was the greater strength of the Bloodthroat tribe and the presence of an orange hero. So, if those trolls want to attack the Cold Wind Mountain Range, this is the only way through? Fang Hao asked. "Yes, my lord. The other paths are all rugged mountain trails. At most a few hundred people can pass through. If a force war were to break out, this would be the only road," Clay explained. Fang Hao nodded, thinking that he should build a fortress here later to defend against the trolls. Once the internal situation of the Cold Wind tribe stabilized, he could use the two fortress locations as a base to launch an attack on the Bloody Mountain Range and completely eradicate this threat. "Tell me about the mines. I see there are large reserves of mineral resources here. There should be many mining fields, right?" Fang Hao continued to ask. "Yes, there are a total of 72 mining fields. But previously the tribes were constantly in conflict and plundering each other, so not many mining fields were able to maintain continuous production." "Okay, we'll tally them up later and arrange specific villages to mine them to stabilize efficiency," Fang Hao nodded. There were actually 72 locations. The ore here was truly abundant as long as the mining was stable. There was no need to worry about the territories or needs. "Yes, my lord. The Cold Wind Mountain Range has always supplied mineral resources to the outside in exchange for other resources. As long as we stop the mutual rob mines and destroy facilities and damage to facilities, production can at least double," Clay said from the side. "I will arrange for the supplies. You can tell them not to worry about this. As long as they complete their work, they will have enough to eat and wear." Fang Hao understood what Clay was trying to convey. The resources here were previously used for exchange, using or to exchange for other essential resources, such as food and daily necessities. Fang Hao would arrange for these. They only needed to complete their work. "Thank you, my lord. As long as these needs are met, they won't cause any trouble." Fang Hao nodded, his gaze turning towards Fireblade beside him. "Fireblade, Pincer, my lord." The two walked over. "The two of you will lead the army here. I will build a fortress here then, and you two will be responsible for guarding it." Fang Hao pointed to the border between the Cold Wind Mountain Range and the Bloody Mountain Range on the sandbox. "Yes, my lord." The two nodded in response. Fang Hao looked at Shaman Clay. "Let's go. You come with me first. I'll send you back after the fortress is built." "Oh yes, my lord." Fang Hao took Clay and Anya out of the chieftain's hall. The three rode the bone dragon and hurried towards the border. Within half an hour, they had already reached the border. Not only were there strangely shaped rocks here, but it was also a very large wind gap. The strong wind made people lean their bodies, requiring them to walk forward step by step against the wind. "My lord, this is the border." Sal also considered building a fortress here, but it's very difficult to walk normally here, let alone build a fortress to block it, Clay said loudly. But the whooshing sound of the wind in his ears still made it difficult to hear clearly. Fang Hao cast frost armor. From time to time, stones blown by the strong wind would hit the armor, causing ripples of blue light. Opening the Lord's book, he directly found fortress in the building area. Fortress, wood 3,000, stone 2,000, stone brick 1,500, iron 500, metal parts 120. He directly chose to build. Light flashed, and a fortress blocked the wind gap. The figures of the three who were pushing forward with effort suddenly felt a void, almost falling to the ground. Clay had never seen such a situation before, where a fortress was built in the blink of an eye. He looked a little excited, muttering words like grace and miracle, and knelt down to Fang Hao again. His loyalty also increased. by 10 points directly. Fang Hao told him to get up and began upgrading the fortress and building defensive arrow towers and magic defense towers. Clay. Arrange for some orcs to come here later to be under Fireblade's command and assist in the defense. Fang Hao instructed after the fortress was built. Yes, my lord, I will arrange it properly. After nearly another half an hour, Fireblade arrived with the main force. 200,000 troops were left behind in Coldwind City, and the remaining more than 1 million undead soldiers were all brought here. Fireblade, you stay here to guard. Pincer, you too, follow Fireblade's unified arrangements, Fang Hao said. Yes, my lord. I will definitely obey Lord Fireblade's command, lord. Am I considered a commander now? Pincer's injuries had healed quite quickly, and his voice was no longer so hoarse. What commander? Fang Hao asked curiously. It's like the kind who can manage a few people under him. Pincer rubbed his hands and asked coyly. This little green skin, he was quite a careerist. All right, work hard. If you perform well, the skeleton giant bats will be under your command, Fang Hao said. No, my lord, the orcs. Give me some orcs to manage, Pincer quickly explained. What was so good about commanding those skeletons? He still hoped to have an orc team under him that he could command. That depends on your efforts. Work hard, and if you do well, you'll be given an entire army to manage. Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. Pincer repeatedly thanked him. Grinning, Pincer was all right at commanding a portion of the flying troops, but his attributes were indeed not high. It would probably be a little difficult for him to command a large army. He couldn't extinguish the guy's ambition. So he could only say this for now. After naming this place Coldwind Fortress, East, Fang Hao and the others returned to Coldwind City. After strolling around the territory, they came to the industrial area of Coldwind City under Clay's guidance. Several warehouses were built here, storing a large amount of ore. Not far away was a smelting furnace factory, specifically used for processing ore. My lord, normally there are orc blacksmiths forging weapons and smelting iron ore here. Clay pointed to the deserted factory and introduced softly. This was because Sao was defeated and the undead army occupied this place. So the factory also stopped working. N. Arrange for everyone to start working later, Fang Hao said that I in the warehouse. He mass-produced various tools and also increased the number of smelting furnaces to 200 regardless of whether it was too many or not. There couldn't be too few. He would recruit some skeleton blacksmiths later and assign them here, directly turning this place into a forging factory. After touring Coldwind City, they returned to the chieftain's hall. Just then, Anya directed the skeletons to carry out boxes filled with gold coins. War coins 787580. Beast head gold 2254580. So much money. Fang Hao's eyes began to gleam with gold. Leave 500,000 beast head gold and load the rest onto the bone dragon, Fang Hao instructed. Coldwind City was a native city. The factories and mines would need to pay wages to the workers, which were settled in beast head gold. Some needed to be left behind. Fang Hao would also open some shops here later, and the money could be earned back, forming a cycle. Oh, Anya replied, then pointed to the skeletons in the back row. There's a white iron treasure chest there. Go open it and see what good things are inside. White iron. Fang Hao was stunned for a moment, then reacted, realizing it should be silver. If it was a silver treasure chest, that would be truly disappointing. Occupying the Coldwind Mountain range was the biggest battle Fang Hao had fought since transmigrating. The enemy had deployed nearly 800,000 troops at once, and he himself had used over 5 million people. No matter how he thought about it, it shouldn't just give a silver treasure chest. Bring it over. Fang Hao beckoned. Two skeletons behind him carried a huge, bright white metal treasure chest and walked over. Platinum treasure chest. Holy cow. Fang Hao glared at Anya in annoyance. You call this white iron? Is there such a shiny iron? This was the 5th type of treasure chest after wooden, black iron, silver, and gold. It should be more advanced than the previous ones. Without much hesitation, Fang Hao directly chose to open it. Dazzling light flashed, and items appeared before Fang Hao's eyes. Obtained. Jewelry store building blueprint. Deception statue building blueprint. Storm fine iron open-faced helmet production blueprint. Blue. Storm fine iron chestplate production blueprint. Blue. Storm Fine Iron Gauntlets Production Blueprint, blue. Storm Fine Iron Combat Boots Production Blueprint, blue. Stone Base Black Iron Street Lamp, blue. Dragon Tooth Necklace, purple. Hero Recruitment Scroll, orange. Beast Tooth Stone 182. War Coins 510. Fang Hao carefully looked at the treasure chest rewards. The rewards from the Platinum Treasure Chest were indeed numerous, at the same time. He could also confirm that the Platinum Treasure Chest was more advanced than the Gold Treasure Chest, and the items opened were more and better. Fang Hao's first glance fell directly on the orange scroll. Hero Recruitment Scroll, orange. It was actually orange, the last time I got a hero. Recruitment Scroll was for Nelson. He was also my first hero, but there was no tier requirement. I purely relied on luck to summon the orange template Nelson. This time, the recruitment scroll directly guaranteed orange, which was a safety net. Hero Recruitment Scroll, orange, category, recruitment scroll, description, after use. You can randomly recruit an orange template hero. This time, there was no faction requirement. So I didn't know what kind of hero would be recruited. I hoped no strange or bizarre races or factions would appear. All in all, I was about to have my second orange hero, which was a good thing, suppressing the excitement in my heart. I first put away the recruitment scroll. There were too many people here. It was better to use it after returning to the main territory, while Anya directed the skeletons to carry the gold coins onto the dragon's back. Fang Hao continued to check the remaining blueprints. Level 1 Jewelry Store, wood 550, stone 800, leather 300, hemp rope 220, iron 120, metal parts 50. After obtaining the tailor shop and blacksmith shop, Fang Hao no longer simply believed that this kind of shop only sold jewelry. It should have a similar function to the tailor shop, allowing recruitment of professions like jewelry craftsmen. The specific function would become clear after building it upon returning. Statue of Deceit, wood 550, stone 1500, nature gem 5, mana essence 2, charm essence 2. Description: the god of deceit will bless the leader of this territory, granting deception and cunning to those with ulterior motives. With the construction of the previous two statues were no longer so rare, but this time it was really different. The statue of abundance and the statue of slaughter blessed the territory, while the statue of deceit blessed the leader of the territory himself. Looking at the description, it seemed more like the head of a fraud organization, not like a good person at all. There was also one point that made Fang Hao start speculating. Items rewarded in a place were often related to the area, and getting a statue of deceit here among the orcs. Could it be that someone here believed in the god of deceit? It was a bit confusing. I'd have Claire pay special attention to it later, and not let these things cause any trouble. Continue checking the next item. Storm Forged Iron Open Helmet, blue, category, helmet defense, level 3 defense set effect, attack plus 3%, max health plus 5%, skill success rate plus 15%. Description: the favorite armor of rough warriors. It is said that wearing this armor can lead to victory in battle. Blue set armor. Very good equipment, especially the set attributes, attack, health, and skill success rate, which are all very important attributes, especially since the current infantry equipment was too mixed, all pieced together from blue and green items. Now is a good time to equip them uniformly, which could also improve overall combat strength. Stone Base Wrought Iron Street Lamp, wood 100, stone 50, iron 20, cast iron block 10, glass lampshade 1. Description: the sun isn't that low. That's a street lamp covered with glass. Glass. If glass could be made, the first thing Fang Hao wanted to make was windows, to prevent issues during rainy days and winter. Dragon Tooth Necklace, purple, category, necklace effect, melee attack, plus 5%, stamina recovery plus 10%. Description: a necklace as powerful as a dragon. It will bring you a strong physique and power. The dragon tooth necklace wasn't actually a real dragon tooth. It was only about the size of a little finger, shaped like a canine tooth, and the material resembled jade. And the name Dragon Tooth was likely given by the creator himself. Anya, Fang Hao called out. Ah! In the distance, Anya was standing on the dragon's back, tying the money chests tightly with hemp rope. Although Anya didn't have much to spend on, she was also a money lover. When looting a place, she was more meticulous than anyone else. This is for you. Fang Hao tossed the necklace in his hand over. Anya caught it in her hand and looked at the dragon tooth necklace. For me? Yes. Fang Hao nodded. Anya held the jade-like tooth-shaped pendant, looked at it for a while, and then put it around her neck with a joyful expression. Thank you. Battle Tooth, Anya's. Loyalty to you increased by 10. Current loyalty, 97. Anya's loyalty directly increased by 10 points. Only 3 points short of reaching 100%. Fang Hao provided her with food and clothing. But he didn't expect that giving her a necklace would increase it by 10 points. All the coins were tied onto the dragon's back. Fang Hao gave Claire a couple of instructions, then took Anya and Bronze Bull and left Cold Wind City. Claire would manage this place first. After Nelson created a new hero, the new hero would be sent over. The bone dragon soared into the sky and flew towards the territory. Along the way, he dropped off Bronze Bull in the city where Zhongbin was located, and then sent Zhongbin back to his original city. With the addition of Cold Wind City, food became a problem. Zhongbin had to hurry back to expand the farmland and increase output. By the time they returned to the territory, the sky had already darkened. The day passed like this. Prepared a rich dinner for the two of them. When Anya started describing Cold Wind City to Fang Hao lost his chance to chime in and could only eat his dinner while watching the regional channel to pass the time. Damn. A group of people came during the day, looked like soldiers from a nearby city, came to collect some tax, talked a lot. Why didn't you fight them? Then shout, are you blind? Don't you see who you're offending? It's just protection money. Better to pay and avoid trouble. I didn't dare not pay. Several hundred people came, and their equipment was really awesome. Luckily, after paying, they gave me some kind of certificate saying I don't have to pay for 6 months. Well, that's not bad for you. Your territory is near a human city-state, so you can get some protection. Yeah, speaking of which, I envy you. I also want to pay some money and develop slowly. Hey, let me interject. Go ahead, but be gentle. Seriously, I recruited a blue hero in the wild today. He comes with a training skill that can train archers into rangers. Holy cow, you're about to take off. Awesome, big boss. An archer hero, huh? Male or female? Can you? You know, it's a male. As for I'll try when loyalty reaches 100. Big boss, is this the first hero in the entire region? I haven't heard anyone else mention it. Who said that? Did you forget? At the end of the first 7-day trial, there was a points ranking. Big Boss Fang Hao ranked first and was rewarded with a hero recruitment scroll. Looking at the name, it should be used to recruit heroes. Right. Remember that time Big Boss Fang Hao took a photo, and there were a pair of white legs in the corner? It must be a female hero he recruited. Case closed. Big Boss Fang Hao recruited a female hero. Spread the word. Big Boss Fang Hao married a female hero. Spread the word. Big Boss Fang Hao is a woman. Wait, weren't we talking about me recruiting a hero? Why are you mentioning Big Boss Fang Hao? Can't I just pretend for a bit? No need to pretend. It's pretty convincing. Fang Hao looked at the regional channel and almost spat out his drink, and no matter what they talked about, they could bring him up from everyone's chat. It was clear that most people were still very unfamiliar with heroes. Perhaps there were people like Fang Hao who recruited heroes but didn't announce it. But they must be a minority. Closing the Lord's book, he finished all the food in his bowl that he let the two girls eat slowly. While he took the hero recruitment scroll and walked out, that he stopped on the open ground in front of the Lord's mansion. Do you want to use this faction's hero recruitment scroll? After use, you can randomly recruit one orange hero. Use. Then, the recruitment scroll in his hand emitted a faint light, slowly dissipating like burning paper. The next second, a complex magic array appeared on the empty ground in front of him. Under the shroud of orange light, a figure slowly rose from the ground. Successfully recruited. Ancient Blade, Demiturga, Orange Tier 8 Hero. Seeing the name in the prompt, Fang Hao was stunned again. A 4-character title was quite rare. Even Nielsen only had a 2-character title. The orange light became more dazzling, and a tall, straight figure gradually became clear when the light dissipated. Revealing Dimitarga's figure, Fang Hao's brows furrowed again. Standing before him was not the human he had imagined, but a tall lizard man that he was nearly 2 meters tall. With blue skin showing a clear sheen of scales, he wore a set of golden armor, held a golden helmet in one hand, and leaned on a metal greatsword with the other. Greetings, Your Majesty. The lizard man spoke first, kneeling on one knee with the sound of his armor clashing. Welcome aboard, Dimitarga. Fang Hao quickly smiled and helped him up. Ancient blade. Dimitarga's loyalty to you increases by 5 points. Current loyalty, 95. That high. His loyalty reached this level the moment he joined. It seemed that neither heroes nor the slaves he had bought had ever reached such high loyalty at the initial stage. Thank you, Your Majesty. The lizard man stood up again. Just call me Lord. The territory is still under construction and requires everyone's collective effort. Yes, Lord. The lizard man said this, then stood to the side, silent like a guard. Fang Hao also opened the Lord's book to check his attributes. Ancient blade, Dimitarga, orange tier 5 hero, faction, lizardman template, gold racial traits, creature, cold-blooded, underwater breathing, scaled armored, legion talents, tactical camouflage, rune guardian, greatsword commander, skills, misty sky, heretic's mark, fanatic belief, ancient saint's blessing, fierce slash, sweep. Innate abilities, territory command mastery, advanced greatsword mastery, advanced tactics mastery, advanced religious faith. Cold-blooded, cold-blooded creature. Stamina and morale increase by 15%. Underwater breathing. This unit can breathe normally underwater. Scaled armor, natural armor. Defense increases by 25%. Tactical camouflage. This unit commands troops and can enter an invisible camouflage state when stationary. Rune guardian. This unit commands troops, and any buff effect increases by 10%. This effect includes, but is not limited to, items and magic such as equipment, treasures, runes, faith, and canopic jars. Greatsword commander, commanding greatsword units. Attack increases by 25%. Misty sky, active, breathes out a mist, covering the designated area. Friendly units within the mist gain 20 magic resistance and 25% stamina recovery. Heretic's mark, active, can mark a target, dealing 10% extra damage. Fanatic belief, passive. Attack speed increases by 15%. Ancient saint's blessing, passive, blessed by the ancient saint. This unit is immune to all negative status effects. Fierce slash, active, strikes the enemy fiercely, dealing 150% bonus damage with a 15% chance to knock back. Sweep, active, sweeps the greatsword, dealing 140% bonus damage to a large area of enemies in front. Description: the lizardmen have gradually withdrawn from the main stage of this world, but their past glory and power cannot be erased. An orange hero, as powerful as ever, among all his attributes, besides various powerful skills. There was also a hint of religious color. Dimi, Targa, have you had dinner? Fang Hao was still a bit unfamiliar with this name. He had to open the Lord's book and glance at it, even after saying the first 2 syllables. You can just call me Dimi. Lord, I haven't eaten yet, Dimitarga replied from the side. Okay, I'll have someone prepare dinner for you, and then I'll take you on a tour of the territory to get acquainted. Fang Hao was about to ask Ir if there was anything to eat, but then turned back and asked, Dimitarga, do you eat meat or vegetables? Lord, my diet is the same as humans. There isn't much difference, Dimitarga said again. All right. Just as Fang Hao took a step, he saw Anya rushing out from inside. Closely followed by Ir, the two of them came out playing and chasing. When they saw the lizard man in full golden armor outside the door, they stopped in their tracks and stared at him. What? What is that? Anya whispered. This is Dimitarga from the lizard man race, a newly joined hero. Fang Hao then looked at Dimitarga and said, Dimitarga, this is Ir, the headmaid, and this is Anya, also a hero in the territory. Miss Ir, Miss Anya. Dimitarga greeted them proactively. Hello, Mr. Dimitarga, Ir replied. Anya, however, was attracted by the other party's equipment. This set of glittering golden gear was quite striking. Ir, see if there's anything else to eat, and prepare some for Dimitarga. Yes, master. Fang Hao then looked at Anya and said, Anya, take Dimitarga and show him around the territory. Introduce him to the blood hunters as well. Okay. Anya agreed and led Dimitarga away. After arranging these matters, Fang Hao walked to the side. He wanted to build the construction blueprints he had obtained before going to sleep and understand their functions and attributes, standing in front of an empty space. Fang Hao directly opened the Lord's book and found the blueprint for the jewelry shop. Level 1 jewelry shop. Wood 550. Stone 800, leather 300. Hemp rope 220, iron 120, metal parts 50. Built. Light flashed, and a small house was slowly taking shape. After 5 minutes, a wooden shop appeared before his eyes. Level 1 jewelry shop recruitable. Goldsmith. Goldsmith. Wriggling spine 1. Note. Units of the corresponding faction can be recruited in this building for forging ironware and repairing weapons. Upgrade requirements. Wood 1500. Stone 1700, leather 700. Hemp rope 220, iron 20, metal parts 40. As expected, it was the same as the tailor shop and blacksmith shop. Functional units could be recruited through the building. Since it was called a jewelry shop, the goldsmith profession must be for making jewelry. Generally, when a building is upgraded to level 5, it gains a special attribute. Since he had enough materials, Fang Hao directly upgraded it to level 5. Level 5 jewelry shop. Recruitable. Goldsmith. Goldsmith. Wriggling spine 1. Ability. Craftsmanship specialization. Craftsmanship. Specialization. Processing precision. Plus 5%. Note. Units of the corresponding faction can be recruited in this building for forging ironware and repairing weapons. Upgrade requirements. Wood 5500. Stone 6500. Hardwood 600. Stone bricks 800. Iron 50. Metal parts 220. Perfect essence 4. Fang Hao had also figured out the characteristics of buildings. After upgrading to level 5, buildings gained a new attribute. The levels from 1 to 4 were just transitions. The effect only appeared at level 5 that the upgrade was complete. Next was recruiting goldsmiths. The name sounded quite impressive. It shouldn't disappoint Fang Hao. Goldsmith. Wriggling spine 1. Recruit. Recruit. Hundredfold increase triggered. Recruit 101 skeleton goldsmiths. Light flashed, and 101 skeleton goldsmiths walked out. The goldsmiths had tall, slender skeletons, and a leather pouch hung from their waists containing various carving tools. Greetings, Lord. The group of goldsmiths bowed in unison. The pupils of the goldsmith skeletons burned with faint blue soul flames. All right, welcome everyone. Fang Hao looked at the one in the lead. What's your name? Lord, my name is Luke, the leading skeleton goldsmith said. Okay, Luke. From now on you are the captain of the goldsmiths. I will give any tasks to you, and you can distribute them. Fang Hao still chose a captain. This made it easier for him to manage, without having to remember so many names. Yes, Lord. I am willing to serve you. Skeleton goldsmith Luke's loyalty to you has increased by 5 points. Current loyalty is 85. Fang Hao nodded and began to check the goldsmith's attributes. Skeleton goldsmith. Tier 1. Faction. Undead racial traits. Undead. Hollow skeleton. Light weakness. Skills. Fine repair. Precision crafting. Fine repair. Repairs accessories. Restoring durability. Precision crafting. Excels at crafting small, intricate artifacts. Innate skill. Level 1 goldsmith mastery. Note. From clothing ornaments to weapon accessories, the work of the goldsmith is indispensable. Integrating art into life and making life full of art is the pursuit of every craftsman. The role of the goldsmith is to create various artifacts. This includes, but is not limited to, rings, necklaces, noble crests, and king's crowns, all within the scope of a goldsmith's work. Repair these 2 items for me. Fang Hao took off the mine necklace and the blaze ring. He had worn these 2 items for a month, and it was a good time to repair them today. Yes, Lord. They will be fully repaired by tomorrow morning, Luke replied. Take a look around the territory and see if there is anything you need to do. Report back to me then. Fang Hao continued. These more than 100 people couldn't just stand around. He needed to see what they could do so he could assign tasks later. Understood, Lord. After assigning the tasks, Fang Hao built houses for the skeleton goldsmiths again, told them they could rest, and arranged their working hours. After seeing the loyalty of the goldsmiths increase, Fang Hao left. He still had 3 building blueprints left. They were the hero altar, smelting furnace, and statue of deceit. First, He went to the statue area. He chose to build the statue of deceit on the empty space 2 meters away from the statue of slaughter. A blue light emerged, slowly forming a somewhat stout outline. When the light faded, the image of a tall, thin man holding a mask appeared before him. Statue of deceit. Blue. Category: special building effect. Speech success rate plus 30%. Favorable. Extra plus 10% for the opposite sex. This effect only applies to the faction leader personally. Description: the god of deceit will bless the leader of this territory, bestowing deception and cunning upon those with ulterior motives. The god of deceit essentially provided one effect. That was the ability to express oneself verbally. From now on, no matter what he said, the other party's credibility towards him would increase by 30%. With an additional effect for the opposite sex.so. In other words, this was the patron deity of swindlers in this world. A swindler becoming a god. That was quite something. It could be said that this was the most useless statue in Fang Hao's territory. The territory was either full of skeletons or heroes, and slaves who had signed contracts. Who was he going to deceive? Did typing in the regional channel count as speech? Otherwise, this statue would be completely useless. Even if it was useless, Fang Hao couldn't demolish it. This was the third statue as long as he built one more statue. He would meet the prerequisite for the wishing pool blueprint. By then, he could make wishes in the wishing pool to get the materials he wanted. He currently wanted dragon crystals to increase the number of bone dragons to a terrifying amount, so no one would dare provoke him again. After building the statue, Fang Hao moved forward. He continued to build the hero altar 2 meters to the left of the merit trial ground. Hero altar. Tough wood 5,500, stone bricks 5,000, iron 2,200, traces of prayer 20, traces of deity 10, perfect essence 30. Amidst a golden light, the hero altar was completed. Hero altar, orange, category, special building ability, resurrection. Resurrection, traces of life 1, mithril 20, faction materials 20, war coins 2,000. Hero units converted, crafted, or summoned cannot be resurrected. Resurrection can resurrect hero units belonging to this faction. Soul imprisonment. Soul destruction will prevent resurrection. Description: here, you can resurrect your brave subordinates. Of course, there are always ways in this world to imprison and shatter your soul. Be careful of those guys who meddle with the dead. With this built, heroes who fall in battle could be resurrected in the future. The last one remaining was the smelting furnace. Fang Hao didn't plan to build this inside the territory. He wanted to concentrate the smelting furnace factories in the Cold Wind Mountains. In the next couple of days, a large number of skeleton blacksmiths would be recruited and assigned to work in the factories in Cold Wind City. Only blacksmiths for repairing and forging equipment needed to remain within the territory. After everything was done, it was very late. Anya took the Lizardman hero for a long tour, explaining each area of the territory. Lord Demitiga saw Fang Hao and saluted again. There's nothing particularly special in the territory, just when the organ museum is closed. Scholar Nelson is working. It's best not to disturb him, Fang Hao said softly. Understood. I will abide by the territory's rules, Demitiga replied. Demitiga's reply was very calm. This made Fang Hao look at him a bit longer. He didn't seem at all surprised or afraid of having so many undead in the territory. Have you had contact with the undead before? Fang Hao asked. No, Lord. Then aren't you curious about the undead appearing here? Fang Hao continued to ask. Not strange at all. Demitiga thought for a moment about his words. Inheritance. Continuation. They all continue to protect their beliefs in different forms. If one day I were to die, perhaps I would also choose to become undead to continue fulfilling my duties. Wow. Are the lizardmen's beliefs that firm? Perhaps what you say is right. Fang Hao and the other walked to a spot not far from the Lord's mansion. I'll build a residence for you here. Night glow stone chandeliers and furniture are available in the warehouse, Fang Hao said. Fang Hao opened the Lord's book, built a house, and upgraded it to level 6. Upon reaching level 5, the wooden house had already turned into a 2-story stone building. How is it? Is this the architectural style where you came from? Fang Hao asked. Thank you. Lord, I only remember that the place I once lived was very humid, and the buildings were mostly made of stone bricks. Demitiga replied softly. All right, go inside and take a look. If you need anything, you can move it in, get some rest early. Demitiga nodded, holding his weapon, and walked directly into the house. The next day, Pearl City. Today, the streets of Pearl City were unusually lively. The Hot Pot restaurant launched another ocean-themed event. On a simple wooden stage, bunny maids sang and danced, showcasing their talents, even if it wasn't very professional. Few commoners had ever seen a professional performance in this era. The main thing was the liveliness and the active atmosphere. Early in the morning, the entrance of the Hot Pot restaurant was packed with people, several layers deep, watching the performance. There were even more people gathered than when the city lord announced new policies in the past. Even those who didn't eat hot pot came to watch the show. Inside the shop, all the seats were occupied, and the guests were tasting the newly launched seafood hot pot. How is it? Is the effect okay? Fang Hao stood in front of the counter. Behind the counter, Xian Yao Yao wiped her sweat and said while keeping accounts, Yes, Fu Lei has gone back to get more goods again. There are too many customers. We can't supply enough even if it's like this every day. Xian Yao Yao was Fu Lei's girlfriend. This time, she also came to the store to help with accounting. In the past, Fu Lei would bring fish to the city to sell, and he might not be able to sell them all by sunset. He would still need to take them back and dry them into dried fish. But now, Fu Lei has gone back to replenish the stock for the third time. If it's like this every day, even if he makes more money, the quantity of fish won't be able to keep up. It's just the peak period today. There will be more people. It will gradually decrease tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, Fang Hao said. He was very clear about this in his heart. The population of Pearl City is limited, and most residents are just looking for novelty. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, fewer people will eat fish hot pot. After all, most people are commoners and just want to improve their lives occasionally. By the way, boss, several nearby villages have recently been attacked by wild beasts. Fu Lei wants to take this opportunity to help several villages eliminate the wild beasts and then take them as affiliated villages. Xian Yao Yao said. The nearby villages she mentioned were several small villages near the freshwater lake. They all rely on fishing for a living. If they can be taken as affiliated villages, they can also increase the production of freshwater fish. Yes, pay attention to safety. If the villages are unwilling to join, don't force them, Fang Hao said after thinking for a while. Okay, I'll tell him when Fu Lei comes back. Okay, you're busy. I'll go sit in the tavern across the street. Okay, boss. The temperature in the store was too high. When he came out, his and Njia's foreheads were covered with sweat. He wiped his sweat and walked straight towards the tavern across the street. Entering the tavern, the proprietress was staring blankly, propping her chin with her hand. When she saw the two of them come in, she just glanced at them slightly. What's wrong? Are you in a bad mood today? Fang Hao sat down at the bar. The proprietress rolled her eyes at him and said, Did you come here specifically to see me make a fool of myself? What do you mean by that? Humph, your shop is getting more and more popular. Look at my tavern. There's not a single person here. The proprietress complained dissatisfiedly. She also took several bartenders from the tavern to try the hot pot. It was indeed delicious, different from the food they had eaten before, and it was as if they were addicted. As soon as they smelled the aroma wafting from the shop across the street, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva and wanted to eat it again. And today, Fang Hao's shop launched an ocean-themed hot pot event, and those bunnies had been singing and dancing since early in the morning. It attracted a lot of customers, making the proprietress jealous. In addition, her tavern's business was getting worse and worse, and she felt angry when she saw Fang Hao. It's only morning. It's not the golden time for your tavern, Fang Hao comforted softly. Sigh. There aren't many people at night now either. My tavern is about to close down, the proprietress said with a sigh. She looked a little frustrated, but she still wiped her hands with a rag and poured 2 glasses of beer for the two of them. What could she say? The restaurant opened by Fang Hao was indeed delicious, attracting most of the people in the city. Moreover, the price of the wine in Fang Hao's shop had been adjusted back to the original price, and she had appropriately reduced the price here. But she still couldn't compete with him. What else could she say? She couldn't let Fang Hao close his restaurant to take care of her, could she? Let's see. if it doesn't work. Come and help me, Fang Hao said with a smile. This time, the proprietress didn't retort, but sat aside and thought about it. It seemed that the tavern was really going to close down. Fang Hao didn't say much, and his eyes fell on the bulletin board on the side. There was still no new map today, but there was a new reward. In the column below his reward for the Sword of Reprieve. There was a new reward. Reward: escort a caravan. Task: escort the city's cloth merchant to Lizi's city. Requirements: a mercenary team of 10 people. Reward: 200 gold coins. A reward issued by Tavik. Fang Hao asked the proprietress. Yes, I heard that they are going to leave the city to deliver goods tomorrow, and they haven't found a suitable escort team yet. The proprietress replied softly. I remember that Tavik is quite rich and has his own caravan. Why did he hire mercenaries? Tavik was the cloth merchant in the city. Fang Hao rescued his daughter from the kidnappers and also knew Tavike. In Fang Hao's memory, he had his own caravan and traded between surrounding cities. Why did he post a reward in the tavern? That's not clear. Maybe there are more goods this time. Or maybe there are other dangers. On the road, the proprietress said listlessly. All right. Fang Hao drank the beer in his hand and walked out of the tavern with Njia. The two went directly to Tavik's residence. After reporting, they were able to meet Tavik smoothly. Mr. Fang Hao, Miss Njia. Tavik showed a smile. Mr. Tavik. The three sat down in front of the living room, and servants brought drinks and pastries. I saw the reward issued by Mr. Tavik at the tavern. It said that a mercenary team of 10 people needs to be hired, Fang Hao said directly. Tavik was slightly stunned. Not expecting Fang Hao to come to him for this matter, he nodded and said, not just one. As long as it reaches 10 people, they can join, and the reward will increase with the number of people. I remember that Mr. Tavik has his own caravan. Why do you suddenly need so many people? Fang Hao said, picking up the wine glass and taking a sip. Sigh. Tavik looked worried. I encountered some trouble, lost a lot of manpower and goods, and this time I have to take the goods to Lizi's city. So I have to hire those mercenaries, just thinking that if there are more people, there won't be any trouble. Tavik didn't say it directly, but he could guess some of it. His caravan must have encountered danger, suffered heavy casualties, and was unable to complete this escort, and Tavik had to send the goods out. So he posted a reward in the tavern. However, due to the Fire Wolf mercenary group incident, mercenaries were being investigated and controlled by the city lord. Many mercenary groups had left Pearl City and went to other cities to develop. This also made it difficult for Tavik to find a suitable team of people for a while. Where is Lizi's city located? Do you have a map? Fang Hao asked softly. Tavik was stunned, and then a look of joy appeared on his face that he knew Fang Hao's strength. If he could persuade Fang Hao to escort him, he wouldn't have to worry about the safety of the caravan. Yes. Tavik immediately asked someone to get the map. The map was unfolded, and Fang Hao also knew the location of Lizi's city. Lizi's city is located south of Pearl City. Although it is considered a neighboring city, the distance is not close. Fu Lei's fishing village is sandwiched between the two. Mr. Fang Hao, if you are willing to escort me, I am willing to pay you double the original fee, Tavik said with anticipation in his tone. Fang Hao thought for a while. This was indeed a way to follow Tavik to the next human city, whether it was for future development or to understand the surrounding forces. It would be helpful. He looked up again and looked at Tavik opposite him. I can escort your caravan, but I'm afraid the reward needs to be changed. Oh, what does Mr. Fang Hao want? Saint Snow Silk, cultivable silkworm larvae. Hearing that Fang Hao wanted young silkworms from Holy Snow Silk, Tavik looked at Fang Hao in confusion. Could it be that Fang Hao hadn't given up on raising silkworms? Had the silkworms he bought from him last time not died, or had they already died? Yet he was still unwilling to give up. But these were not things he needed to consider. Fang Hao had a good team that was enough to escort his caravan safely. He was clear about this. And since the other party wanted to exchange the reward for young silkworms, he could accept this condition. All right, since Mr. Fang Hao wants them, I naturally won't be stingy. Then let's use the young silkworms of Holy Snow Silk as the reward. Tavik heavily slapped the table and said loudly. Holy Snow Silk was the best silk in Tavik's hands, specially sold to nobles or wealthy merchants everywhere. When others bought it, he would only sell finished fabrics, not young silkworms, so as not to cultivate a competitor. But Fang Hao was different. Obviously an outsider who didn't understand anything. Even if he taught him the whole process, it would be difficult to achieve anything in a few years. And the greater possibility was that the interest would pass, and he would give up. Therefore, Tavik was not worried about Fang Hao at all. It was just that young silkworms were also precious, more valuable than gold coins. But there was no way. Who told him that he really needed manpower now? When do we depart? Fang Hao asked. Early tomorrow morning, at the gate of Pearl City. All right, I will bring people over then, and we will set off together after gathering. Good. After confirming the departure time, the two sat down and chatted. The Minister of Internal Affairs had been building relationships everywhere recently, hoping to use connections to get the city lord to release his son. But this time, the city lord seemed determined to convict his son, and he was still locked in prison, not allowing anyone to contact him. These days, the people in the city were discussing this matter, secretly applauding and cheering. Finally, this bully was arrested. After chatting for a while, Fang Hao and the other left Tavik's mansion. At about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, Fang Hao and the other returned to the territory, turning over and jumping off the giant lizard. He happened to see Dimika just returning from patrol, taking off the helmet on his head, revealing his blue lizard head. Lord, Dimika respectfully saluted. Well, by the way, I'm going on a mission tomorrow. You and Anya come with me and leave the patrolling of the territory to Bloodhunter. Fang Hao remembered. The escort mission tomorrow, patrolling near the territory, was actually not very effective, with 500,000 undead stationed. No creature dared to approach, and even wild beasts moved their nests away, finding another place to live. Yes, Lord. Dimika nodded in response. Okay. After saying goodbye to Dimika, Fang Hao returned to the Lord's mansion. Just as he walked up to the 3rd floor, he saw Il cleaning in his room. That Il was allowed to enter his room, and usually she arranged the washing and drying of clothes. Master, you're back. Il stepped forward and helped him take off the leather armor on his body. Now that Fang Hao was going to Pearl City, he no longer wore that heavy metal armor, but wore a leather armor outside his mage robe to prevent special situations from happening. Okay, Fang Hao nodded. By the way, Master, I saw a broken pendant while cleaning the study. Do you want to send it to Mr. Luke to repair? Il said softly. Luke? Oh right, the newly joined gold carver. This name was a little unfamiliar, but he quickly remembered that it was the skeleton gold carver recruited yesterday. Fang Hao asked again, which pendant? He didn't remember having any broken pendant. He only had a mine necklace, which he also took back this morning. I'll get it for you to see. Il trotted to another room and came over with a rusty pendant, silver pendant category, necklace, description, an ordinary, almost worthless pendant, but it contains all the thoughts of a father. You can sell it or return it to Jijilia. Originally, there was a small mechanism in the middle of the pendant, and the shell would only open with a light press, revealing Jijilia's name inside. But now the shell had fallen off, completely turning into two things. The body was covered with rust, and it was corroded more severely. This was found by Fang Hao on a corpse in the wild. At that time, he felt that it should be a task, so he kept it until now. If Il hadn't mentioned it, he would have really forgotten about it. Well, take it to Luke to have a look. No need to renovate it. Just fix the lid. Fang Hao said. The matter of finding Jijilia was probably difficult. Take it one step at a time, repair it, and keep it first. Maybe it will be useful in the future. Okay. Il took it to find Luke. Fang Hao changed into comfortable clothes and walked out of the Lord's mansion again. He went straight to the blacksmith shop. Lord, what can I do for you? The skeleton blacksmith Kulun took the initiative to come over, holding a forging hammer in his hand. Well, it's nothing. You guys are busy. I'm here to recruit some manpower. Now the blacksmiths were very busy. After the two great battles of Skull Crusher and Bloodthroat, a large amount of equipment was obtained. The blacksmiths were working overtime, repairing what could be repaired and selling it, and remelting what could not be repaired into cast iron blocks. Fang Hao was not here to arrange new work for them, but to recruit enough blacksmiths and arrange them to the furnace factory in Coldwind City to replace the orcs, who did not have blacksmithing skills. Blacksmith. Wriggling Spine 10 recruit. Adjust the number of recruits to 10. Recruit. Hundredfold amplification triggered, recruiting 1,010 skeleton blacksmiths. A large amount of light flashed, and more than 1,000 blacksmiths appeared. They all looked at Fang Hao. Greetings, Lord. Everyone saluted Fang Hao. Well, welcome everyone to join. This time I will arrange for you to go to the factory in Coldwind City. You will work there. Fang Hao said loudly. Yes, Lord. Fang Hao summoned Anya and arranged for these skeleton blacksmiths to sit on the bone dragons. Hand them over to Clay. That shaman. Fang Hao instructed Anya, since the Hamildon family had issued a missing person notice. Fang Hao rarely let Blood Hunter show his face outside. Some tasks were handed over to other heroes to do. This time, the same was true, handing over the task of leading the team to Coldwind City to Anya. Understood. Leave it to me, don't worry. Anya patted her chest to guarantee. Okay. Be careful on the road. Come back directly after finishing the work. Don't go out to play. Okay, are you done? Done. Anya patted the back of the bone dragon and led more than a dozen bone dragons into the sky. Heading towards the Coldwind Mountains at dusk, Anya rushed back. And those skeleton blacksmiths were also handed over to Clay. The next day, early in the morning, Fang Hao, Anya, and Dimitka had already arrived outside Pearl City early in the morning. Tavik's caravan had tied up the goods, and the convoy was like a long dragon. Making the final adjustments. In addition to Fang Hao, there were Tavik's own people, as well as several squads of mercenaries. Mr. Fang Hao. Tavik came forward to greet him, his eyes lingering on Dimitka for a moment. A lizard man. Not only Tavik, but everyone nearby looked here, their eyes falling on Dimitka. Mr. Tavik, this is my guard. Dimitka. Fang Hao specially introduced him. Oh, Mr. Dimitka. Hello, Mr. Tavik. The two were considered to have greeted each other. Tavik continued to look at Fang Hao and looked around, curiously asking, Mr. Fang Hao, where are your soldiers? It's getting late, so we can set off. I have already arranged it. They will join us on the way. Fang Hao said. Tavik was a little unclear about Fang Hao's meaning. The people arranged were not from the territory, but joined on the way. Tap, tap, tap. Just as Tavik wanted to inquire in detail, the sound of armor rubbing came from behind him, and a human swordsman walked over with 3 companions. The leading man was in his 40s, strong and sturdy, with a thick beard. Mr. Tavik, who are these? The man's voice was low. Captain Godwin, this is Fang Hao and his guards. This time, they are also traveling with us as caravan guards. Tavik introduced. Godwin glared at the 3 unhappily. Lingering on Dimitka for a few seconds, he said solemnly, Mr. Tavik, I don't think these few people are necessary. The Iron Blood mercenary group is enough to escort your caravan safely. More people, more security. Tavik said. Godwin looked at the 3 again and said to Tavik, Mr. Tavik, maybe we need to talk about it. After saying that, he pulled Tavik aside and talked in a low voice. This Godwin, it seems that he is not very friendly to us, Anya said with her hands on her hips. She had already made up her mind to beat the other party up. More than unfriendly, there is something strange about it, Fang Hao said, and in the Lord's book, he asked Fu Lei to transfer more manpower to wait for him on the way. The other party's attitude made Fang Hao suspicious. Mercenary groups accept tasks to earn money for escorting goods. This means their deserved reward was already negotiated with Tavik, and whether he and his companions joined had no impact on them. The current display of exclusion was a bit strange. Soon after, Tavik walked over while urging the team to set off immediately. Mr. Fang Hao, the journey is long. Let's set off now. Okay. It seemed Tavik hadn't been persuaded by the other party and still insisted on keeping Fang Hao and the 2 others. The convoy began to move. The mercenaries and Tavik's guards surrounded the goods, forming a long line that advanced south along the main road. Dimitka controlled the giant lizard. Fang Hao, meanwhile, spread a thick fur blanket on the cargo rack behind him and lay there, watching the regional channel. Although he didn't talk much in the group, he loved watching everyone chat. It felt like he was still living in modern society, where everyone chatted casually without worries. After walking for about 2 hours, passing by Fu Lei's city, 50 heavy sword infantry joined the team. They were assigned 10 carriages to guard. Within the Iron Blood mercenary group's ranks, a mercenary spurred his horse to catch up with their leader, Godwin, who was ahead, checking their surroundings. He whispered. Leader, they added 50 people at once. And some of the brothers recognized that man. He was the one who saved Tavik's daughter. And that scoop of delight shop in the city is also his. Godwin glanced back at the giant lizard and continued. Do you know the background of that female orc and the lizard man? Not yet. We only know the female orc is the human's guard. It's the first time we've seen the lizard man. The mercenary thought for a moment and continued. Leader, those 50 people are very well equipped. If we fight head-on, I'm afraid there will be casualties. Shut up, Godwin snapped in a low voice, his eyes vigilantly scanning the surroundings. I know what I'm doing. After the camping spot is determined tonight, tell those grizzly guys the news. We'll split at 7-3, and we want Tavik's head. When the 50 well-equipped heavy sword soldiers joined, Godwin's heart also tightened that he thought his plan had been exposed, and these people were here to deal with him. Later, seeing them begin escorting the convoy, he knew it was a false alarm. But the addition of these people forced him to change his original plan. Okay, leader. The mercenary nodded, slowed his horse, and returned to his escort position. The merchant team continued south. They ate a simple lunch while still on the move. As night fell, the guards and mercenaries began setting up camp. They would spend the night here, praying that no wild beasts would wander nearby. Even if they did come, they would be full and out for a walk, not arriving hungry. Simple defensive measures were taken, and tents were erected one by one. The merchant team provided food, or they could eat the food they brought themselves. A pot was set up, and Fang Hao threw in the hot pot base. Soon, the aroma spread out. Not many seasonings were added, and only the few people gathered around could smell it. There was no need to worry about the smell being too strong and attracting nearby wild beasts. Just then, Jia walked over. She sat down beside him and said in a low voice, You guessed right. Someone from that Iron Blood mercenary group left the team and headed east. He wasn't on a horse. I can go now and catch him. Hearing Jia's words, the hand Fang Hao was using to put meat into the pot paused slightly. It was pretty much as he had guessed. This mercenary group really did have a special purpose. And Jia, you put the meat in the pot first. Also, don't let outsiders get close to the tent. Fang Hao instructed, then directly ducked into a nearby tent that he opened his backpack and took out a palm-sized skeleton bird. Skeleton sparrow, Tier 1. This was a type of bird transformed by the territory. Its original appearance was somewhat like a sparrow on Earth. But now it had been transformed into a skeleton. He lifted a gap in the tent and placed the skeleton sparrow outside. He immediately used Divine Descent. The Divine Descent target, skeleton sparrow. Compatibility 98%. This type of non-aggressive transformed unit truly had high compatibility. Directly 98%. The next second, a quiet blue soul fire flickered in the skeleton sparrow's eyes. It flapped its wings and flew in the direction the mercenary had left, east of the camp. About a 20-minute journey. This was a dense forest, and within the forest was a camp enclosed by a wooden wall. The skeleton sparrow maintained its distance, following the mercenary all the way to the front of this camp. As soon as the mercenary approached, he was spotted by the sentry. Who goes there? I'm from the Iron Blood mercenary group. Our leader sent me to talk to Boss Grizzly about a collaboration. The mercenary quickly stated his purpose. He was afraid the people above, unable to see clearly in the dark, would shoot him with an arrow. From the Iron Blood mercenary group? Wait there, the sentry said, telling his companion to keep an eye on him, and turned to find his boss. Soon after, a woman in brown armor appeared on the wall, but did not order the main gate of the mountain stronghold to be opened. I'm Grizzly. Just say what you need to say from there, the woman said loudly. Boss Grizzly, our leader asked me to inform you that he's bringing a fat sheep through here. If you're interested, we can split it 7-3, the mercenary said loudly. 7-3. By putting 7 first, it meant his side wanted 70%. Humph, would that coward Godwin be so kind? He must have run into a tough opponent, Grizzly scoffed. Yes, originally we planned to take it all, but a team of 50 people suddenly joined along the way. The leader doesn't want any casualties, so he asked Boss Grizzly for help. The mercenary continued to say loudly, Then you can push the responsibility onto us Grizzlies. And you Iron Blood will also have an excuse to wash your hands of it completely. A mercenary group robbing their employer is a very serious matter, not to mention others' pursuit, if the news got out. The Iron Blood mercenary group would be finished by teaming up with a bandit mountain stronghold. They could push the blame onto the stronghold and then lay low for a few months. It would be a good way to clear their name. Boss Grizzly, the cloth merchant Tavik has brought a lot of silk this time. Are you interested or not? I need to go back and report, the mercenary said directly. Hearing about silk, Grizzly was somewhat moved. Silk was known as soft gold, a very valuable commodity. Ultimately, Grizzly was tempted. She said, "Okay, I'll take this job. Perhaps we can collaborate more on things like this in the future so everyone can profit." Yes, yes. Boss Grizzly thinks the same way as the leader. All right, once I gather my people, I'll go with you to wipe out this merchant team. The city gate opened, and the mercenary entered the mountain stronghold, waiting for them to gather their forces. Fang Hao canceled divine descent. He pulled open the tent and walked out, saying sternly, "Dimitega and Jia, get ready. Take the men and directly wipe out the Iron Blood mercenary group. Leave no one."